comes in all colors, including white. Covering white hair is big business. It makes up nearly 70% of all salon applications. Colorists often only look for maximum coverage, but in reality, the result can be much more nuanced and elegant. Come with me as I show you that white hair is a beautiful canvas to work on. In the hair bulb, granular and diffused pigments of hair are made inside the melanocyte cells. These cells specialize in making melanin. Melanin gives hair its color. With time, the activity of melanocytes slows down until it finally stops producing melanin. Melanin then disappears from the hair shaft, causing hair to progressively turn gray and eventually transparent. But we see it as white hair from a distance. Hair becomes more porous, brittle, and less manageable. It's essential to know how much white hair we're working with, just like being able to assess a natural base color or identifying undercoats. Now that we know how to identify the percentage of white hair, let's see how the products work. Fundamentals are more opaque and Reflect are more transparent. When we add a Reflect to any fundamental, we automatically increase its transparency. On white hair, the Reflect appears brighter and is more transparent. That's why we need to add fundamental to recreate missing depth. What happens if we don't add fundamental? The Reflect is too strong, the result is transparent and won't last long. What happens to a warm Reflect if we put fundamental instead of golden fundamental? There will be too much brown background and less luminosity. If there's less than 50% white hair, a Majorelle Reflect shade can cover enough to give a good result for a majority of hair situations, taking into account the natural base and the landing undercoat. If there's more than 50% white hair, then there's not enough natural base present, so we ignore it. We need to add some fundamental to perfectly cover. For cool shades, we use a normal fundamental. Example, half 7 and half 7.1. For warm shades, we prefer using a golden fundamental because the Reflect is more luminous and true to tone. For example, half 7.3 and half 7.4. Let's practice. I'll give you a shade and you'll tell me if it's cool or warm and which fundamental to use. First up, shade 4.26. If you said it's cool, yes, you're right. Which fundamental would you use? 4. That's it. The next shade is 4.45. Yes, it's a warm shade, so we use a 4.3. Here's your last shade. It's 9.31. Did you guess a warm shade? You're right. So we can mix with 9.3, but there's another option. Since it's also beige, we can also use 9. It depends on how cool you want the beige to be. For Enoa, the same rules apply, but with more or less than 70% of white hair. This rule of white hair coverage applies in most cases. We can apply the rule when white hair is not evenly distributed and more concentrated on the hairline. We learn more about white hair coverage in Color Keys 2, how to adapt it for fine, thick, or resistant hair, and how to play with different coverage levels. Now, let's take a closer look at Majorelle High Lift, Majorelle Glow, and Enoa Glow to see how they work. When it comes to High Lift, the name says it all. Its job is to lift, not to cover white hair. So never apply a high lift shade on more than 30% of well-distributed white hair. When there's less than 30% white hair, the light undercoat can be beautifully blended. Be sure to only use a neutral or beige shade. The same logic goes for Majorelle Glow or Enoa Glow. Glow is made to preserve transparency. With less than 30% white hair, it's less about perfect coverage and more about the aesthetic result. Above 30% of white hair, you need a product capable of delivering real coverage. There are other better options. Let's talk a minute about take-through. When traditional oxidative color is used on both roots and lengths, it delivers a full head of homogeneous color with perfect gray coverage. However, regrowth and previously colored lengths and ends don't have the same needs. For regrowth, it's the first time that hair will absorb color, but the rest of the hair has already been sensitized by color. Over time, using the same oxidative color on both regrowth and lengths will oversensitize hair, causing it to lose shine. Enter Deolite. When this acidic tone-on-tone is used to take through, it avoids many side effects and brings new benefits. With its unique qualities, Deolite gently revives color radiance without overloading or sensitizing hair. Plus, it's a unique service that can only be done by colorists like you. You'll learn all you need to know about take-through in episode 7 of Color Keys. That wraps up this episode of Color Keys 1. Take care of white hair and take your time. Remember to explore all options from full coverage to subtle blending. We can't turn back the clock, but as a colorist, you can help your client look their best at every stage.